Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. John Dentico. With me today is Andrew Bolton. Andrew Bolton is the CEO and co-founder of Tech Rescue LLC, a 24/7 tech support and cybersecurity company serving seniors, families, and small businesses. A Harvard finance graduate with experience in Wall Street and private equity, Andrew blends deep financial insight with a human-first approach to innovation. Tech Rescue, named one of the top 100 startups in the U.S. by F6s in 2024, offers subscription-based support designed to simplify technology and restore peace of mind, especially for those often left behind by the digital age. Known for his work in senior tech support, telemedicine, and wearable technology, Andrew brings over a decade of leadership in sales, business development, and customer success. He built Tech Rescue on a simple belief: technology should make life easier, not harder. By combining modern systems with old school service, Andrew is helping clients turn everyday frustrations into confidence and clarity. When he's not scaling mission-driven companies, Andrew is an adventurer with property in Bogota, Colombia, a Harley enthusiast, and a former college wrestler who still embraces challenge. Whether the topic is consumer behavior, economic trends, or the future of tech for good, Andrew offers grounded insights with a bold entrepreneurial edge, and I'm truly pleased to have him here this morning on the podcast. Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Good morning. My mom really writes some good copyright stuff, doesn't she?
She's good. Hire her.
I was going to say, Mom, this is a podcast. You setting me up on a marriage dating site? No, thank you for having me. I wouldn't say I'm all of those particular things, but I would say that she did get one thing right. We did start Tech Rescue to help people. That's probably the most important thing that we can really focus on, is that it's true. Dr. John, you know that technology today is nowhere where it used to be when we first started even thinking of computing, taking data and then being able to manipulate it and understand it. We're in a whole new world.
Yeah, and by the way, just call me John. I only use Dr. John when I make dinner reservations.
All right,
get you a good table every time. So let me ask you this question. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? And what were some of the influences in your early life?
I want to be honest with you. For any younger generation, anybody below or younger than the 90s kids, these references aren't going to really make any sense to you, because my world and your world are completely different. My name is Andrew Bolton. I'm the founder of Tech Rescue. I grew up in North Jersey my entire life, just outside Manhattan. The influences in my life was Hulk Hogan, WCW, Bret the Hitman Hart, Macho Man Randy Savage, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator 1, 2, Rambo's 1 and 2, Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, I grew up in an era of stuff blowing up. It was the invention of the X Games when Tony Hawk did a 900 for the first time. Our worlds are two different places, and anybody watching this would understand the 90s and what we have today are different. Business is different. Honestly, I don't know how companies make money anymore. Honestly, I don't. Besides Wall Street.
Interesting. And growing up that way, I can remember way earlier than that. My Uncle Gus was a huge wrestling fan. And we used to watch wrestling on one of these black and white TVs. It was about a 10-inch screen, if I remember correctly. I truly appreciate the art of wrestling, at least what I would call television wrestling as opposed to college wrestling.
It is a performance. I've met some of my heroes. I've had the real good pleasure in my life to meet some of my heroes. And it's a performance, but make no mistake about it, it is a dangerous show that they put on. It's a dangerous show.
Yeah, yeah.
And people have lost their lives doing it.
Let me ask you this question. You'd founded Tech Rescue to provide 24/7 tech support, especially for seniors. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to tackle this underserved space? And how has the mission evolved since launch?
It started with my grandmother. She got very much involved into social networking due to her genealogy. She was a huge genealogist. Well, to anyone looking at that type of hobby, social media is your gold mine. You have people that you can identify, and then you can go through their profiles and find their cousins and relatives. So we would be getting phone calls all the time. How do you send a friend request? How do you comment on a photo? How do you share a photo? These were things we were dealing with all the time. Finally, at one point, we said to ourselves, isn't there somebody you can call? I love you, Grandma, but going to her place is an hour just to get something done, and then 2 hours because she has to introduce you to everybody and cook for you, and then she has to go over your life's history, even though you just saw her. You know, I love the woman to death, but at a point, it's like, do I help, or I got to get stuff done? I have a life too, and that's when all the pieces started coming together. What we found was her neighbors in her retirement community needed the same help. They were asking nursing staff, can you please connect the Bluetooth? Can you do this? I mean, these are trained RN professionals who are being used as the Geek Squad. We found this mutual benefit between the growing company at the time and the facility that she was living in. We took over the tech support kind of thing, which really wasn't complicated stuff, but we relieved pressure off their staff, their actual medical staff. Incidences dropped by about 13% in the first 6 months of us running this program because nurses weren't dealing with mundane stuff, so they could occupy their time and notice small things, which for that demographic is extremely important, like growths or rashes. You could then pay more close attention to. So we actually started shifting the way the entire operation was run in that facility. So one thing started off trying to do a good deed, evolved into doing other good deeds. And that's where this company really has grown.
Very interesting. I was involved with elder care for my mom for 10 years, and it was completely absorbing for me.
It's humbling.
It's humbling and absorbing. Everything, as you say, the medical treatment is something I had to deal with. Medications, all these things, making sure everybody was talking to one another. Talk about collaboration. Getting everybody on the same page and keeping them on the same page was an enormous task, as far as I'm concerned. And so I feel you, man. You know what I mean? I get it.
This is something that does need to be addressed. As a nation, as the United States, 14% of our total senior population does not have access to any help. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not on Medicare or Medicaid or some kind of insurance. It means that they just don't have the ability to have somebody in their life help them. That's a scary thing. With Tech Rescue, because we're HIPAA compliant, you can call Tech Rescue. You have a tablet or a computer or a cell phone. We can help guide you to setting up your insurance policy because we're HIPAA compliant. From there, we can find you a doctor. From there, we can schedule a Lyft, an Uber, a ride share, something to get you to your destination and back. We can also take the medication from your insurance policy and then have it sent to a pharmacy with modern technology. Uber, Lyft, rideshare, and Amazon now also delivers subscriptions. You can have your subscriptions delivered to you from the comfort of your own home. We can take care of all of that for you because of technology. So technology isn't something to be feared. It should be embraced and used. But that doesn't mean that there isn't an underlying problem. It means that still to this day, only 72% of seniors feel comfortable with their cell phones.
I can imagine.
We have a huge demographic of people that are not comfortable with technology, and we're growing ever faster.
That segment is growing faster.
Everything is growing faster. Because if we look at the trends of technology, we started developing Bluetooth. Now our refrigerators and our ovens, microwaves, and blenders have Bluetooth for some reason. Because the washing machine needs to connect to my cell phone. If we follow this trajectory of trends and human history of what we do to ourselves, AI is going to be in your washing machine. Why? Because it's there. Because we're going to do it. We did it with Bluetooth. We're now doing it with AI. Everything will have AI.
Yeah, I think you're right. If we have Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi at least, right? I mean, we have Wi-Fi in cars now. Why would I want Wi-Fi in my car? I have a cell phone. I mean, I'm home already. But these are the features sold by Wi-Fi companies to auto manufacturers. It's just exploding. And the whole AI thing, I'm glad you brought that up, is there's two things you can do. You either jump in and work with it, figure out how to work with it, or stick your head in the ground and
I don't
it just
think
goes
you'll
by
be
you.
able to.
I agree.
I don't think.
I agree.
This genie is out of the bottle. I don't care what you have to say about it. The genie's out of the bottle.
Right.
There are movies being made that are just based with AI features. There are video games being built with AI. The perfect example is the Grand Theft Auto 6 video game. They're already estimating that it has 190 plus hours in counting of gameplay ability. And they're waiting, supposedly, for quantum computing so that the game never dies. The game constantly keeps evolving.
Incredible.
How do you have that kind of technology and expect everybody to be on board with it, being able to handle it? And the answer is you're not. And what Tech Rescue does is we don't try to simplify it. We don't try to explain it. We just take care of it for you. We are your white glove service. We are the 911 when you've just had enough. And this is what makes us different. Every call that comes in is what we consider a hot call. Confusion, angry, frustrated, lost, or just confused. This takes a certain type of personality to handle. We're trying to grow at a pace that can keep up with our call volume. But the type of person that we need has to be able to handle hot calls and be able to pivot. And that's a very unique skill. What we're finding now is that the 5 classes that are post-COVID, so classes of 2019 to 2024.
When you say classes, what do you mean by that?
College graduates, classes of 2019 to 2024, not work ready, not real world ready. As a business owner, I'm 36. I know I'm a young chicken to some and an old man to a few others, but classes of 2019 to 2024, y'all need to go back to school. You're not ready for the real world. You have no patience, you have no ambition, you have no drive, you have no coachability, and you have literally realistic expectations of what the world owes you.
Unrealistic.
Unrealistic expectations.
It's very interesting because you see a lot of that these days in terms of the Gen Zers, which is an older generation, actually older from the college, which Gen A is only.
Well, the Gen Airs are now freshmen in high school. Like, I think seniors in
Okay.
high school.
Okay. So the Gen Zers, we're talking about the Gen Zers here.
So that's
mostly.
class of 18, 19, 20.
It's an interesting dynamic that's happening.
I don't know what. If I'm going to be honest with you, I think there's going to be a lot of money to be made. I don't know the right people and have the right ability to put that together in my world. But there's going to be a lot of money to be made if somebody can make a private trade university. Welding, mechanics, building, electrician, plumbing, piping. If you were to take these big box stores, these abandoned properties around the United States, if you were to convert these big box facilities into like private universities, but trade universities, where one section is carpeting, one section is plumbing, one section is welding, one section is mechanics, and that is a huge section because you have mechanics and then diesel mechanics. You have one side that's concreters, right? Where you're understanding the chemical breakdown and mortar consistency of concrete, and you're going through learning how to be a mason. The class of 2018 to the class of 2024, we are talking about 6-7 years of, pardon the language, but of uselessness. That's young men, able-bodied, that have nothing to offer, not even ambition. Which leaves us what? The class below it and everybody else after that. How many advertising jobs are there? How many marketing jobs are there? How many stay-at-home jobs? How many office administrative jobs? AI is coming. You're going to have a secretary. Why are you going to have a personal secretary when nobody goes to offices anymore? Who's going to an office?
Well, I think that's going to change. I think that more people will be going to offices. I think it'll be in a hybrid environment. My projection is 50-50. You know, there'll be 50% inside an office and 50% or maybe 60% outside.
Understand that work had a utility rate of about 83% during the COVID era, which is where a lot of people are basing that demographic off of. The 83% I think would be higher, near the 90 mark, because people, while working at home, we're dealing with the realities of being constantly bombarded with negative imagery, like the body bags in Central Park, the death numbers. So people were expected to do their jobs while watching a constant display of death and carnage and scares. So you're expecting them to be performing at the optimum level, and yet every day they turn on the news and, 1,300 more people died, 1,500 more people died. I kind of hold those numbers statistically with a grain of salt because I'd be hard pressed. Let's throw the opposite scenario at that. Nobody was mandated to stay home, and those numbers were still appearing. I don't think a single person in their right mind would venture outside if they were being told, no, you still have to go to work. I don't think anybody in their right mind would. I wouldn't. If I'm seeing New York City having guys ship in freezer trucks to hold bodies, I'm not going outside. I think where we are going to have office settings is where we need to have in-person, non-televised voting, or work that needs to be done non-televised or non-virtual, like real work, let's say confidential work that cannot be sent out of office, like legal work, banking work, that might require office. But operations and logistics, that can be done anywhere in the world. Administrative paralegal duties, that can be done anywhere in the world. Is how businesses use AI on optimization profitability margins, right? So what's the goal of any business? Is to maximize alpha, right? Generate as much profit as possible. From the 1980s and 90s, we've learned that quick profits can be done by downscaling. But the problem with downscaling is you lose optimization, you lose creativity, and you also lose the ability to, crank up production if need be, right? Because you don't have the bodies to do so. With AI, you've now solved that optimization problem. AI fundamentally is learning everything from the internet. So every bit of contribution, everybody's ChatGPT contributes to ChatGPT. Whether that's a NASA scientist or some kid asking about, how big was Tyrannosaurus's foot, right? Because he wants to spray paint it on his driveway. So when it gets applied to businesses, it's learning the most optimum way to do things. So realistically, we're planning our own exit out of utility. So like any good business, how do you adapt?
I wouldn't say planning our exit from utility. I think you'd say it from more mundane jobs. If you look at it, the numbers right now, it's a burgeoning area.
It is.
It's only going to take 3 to 5 years. I figure about 5 years, maybe a little bit longer. But we're in the middle of a shift between where we are right now and where we're going. I said this the other day to one of my other guests. I believe this is kind of what's going on and what will happen. When the internet first came on the scene 30 years ago, I remember when browsers were just coming online, and all of a sudden you could see pictures on your CRT. And wow, that's great. What happened was that back then, people were the constant, right? Meaning people just kind of go along. The internet and computers became the variable, meaning that they were the thing that made the difference. It made it variable. So how people accepted, absorbed, and started using computers upped their contribution or upped their efficiency and effectiveness in the world because they were now on computers. So here we are now in the AI age. We look today and we say, wait a minute, computers are ubiquitous. They're everywhere. Everybody has a computer. Like you said, everybody has a phone. Everybody has a computer, okay? So computers are the constant. And people, like yourself, are the variable. What you're using, you're the one who becomes the creative force. You're the one who created Tech Rescue. I mean, you're the one who uses tech, the current state of tech, to do the jobs that you do with seniors. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what I believe is going to happen with AI. Today, people are the constant, and AI is the variable. But 5 years from now, AI will be the constant, and people will be the variable. How people choose to use AI in the future, how they apply their creativity and use of AI in the future is going to be, interestingly enough, puts people at the heart of the creative process. What do you think about that?
I agree with you. AI is nothing more than a tool. Much like a magic wand, it's a tool. It's who wields it is the question. See, what people don't understand about ChatGPT, and they have these assumptions, is ChatGPT is a blank slate, right? It's just a blank white screen. And then you type into it, what is the chemical makeup of the color of red? It'll give it to you. How tall was Abraham Lincoln's hat? It'll give it to you. Size, dimensions, and everything. Who made it? Who sent it? How was it shipped to the White House? It'll give you everything you could ever imagine. What we will see in the world to come is only based off of what we were curious about. Because that's what AI is. AI is the magic wand that will grant us what we ask it. And what we ask is what we're curious about. So what you see in the future is what we are curious about. What questions are we asking? This is where education comes in. Laptops used to be a problem in school because kids could cheat on it. We were cheating on calculators far before we were cheating on laptops. We programmed our calculators, TI-83. We programmed them and wrote all of our notes. It took extensive nights cheating on a test. It took work and effort. Now you have ChatGPT that can give you any answer. How clever do you want it? How deep in research do you want it to do? Because it has access to the Library of Alexandria, which is the internet. There's no answer you can't ask it. So what you as a teacher need to do is, instead of looking at the product, now look at the process. All right, the kids have this magical tool in their hand that can answer any question. How about you start asking different questions? So you can tell your kids this. You all know the answers, right? You have the homework assignment. I want to see by next week an entire lesson plan built by ChatGPT on how you can learn this material. Because that's what ChatGPT can do. ChatGPT for parents can take your kids' homework, and based off the questions of how they ask questions, ChatGPT can learn how your child learns. Because the questions that you ask is how your mind works. And then you can start building a learning program at home that, hey, maybe your kid needs 15 minutes of math problems and 30 minutes of jumping jacks, or 20 minutes of maybe meditate. But ChatGPT can learn based off of the questions and how it asks questions and the type of answers that the child is looking for or your student is looking for. This is how you become a better teacher, because ChatGPT just gave you the tool how to teach that particular child.
Yeah. Well, we're getting pretty far afield here, and I'd like to bring the conversation. How do you see wearable tech and telemedicine transforming senior care in the next 3 to 5 years, and what role do you want Tech Rescue to play in that future?
This one's personal because my father is the grumpiest old man on the planet. His arm could be bleeding and he will not go to the doctor. He had cancer at one point and he had a growth. And I said, Dad, you got to get that checked out. The doctor's going to tell me something I don't want to know anyway. I'm like, that's kind of the point. You're like, you go to the doctor because something's not right, Dad. So where we see the future based off of what we've read and what we've heard is that we have Apple Watches and Garmin watches that can read your blood pressure, your heart rate, and do all these things. But if we can then start having microscopic needles, which are being tested now, that gets a blood sample every 30 minutes, every hour, it can read your glucose level. We can help stop strokes, heart attacks. We can see real numbers in real time and start building people a plan that can actually work for them to help lower A1C numbers, to help prevent heart attacks, which is still one of the number one killers in this country. Tech Rescue can help set up those programs because you still have to sign up. You still have to connect yourself to your doctor, to your medical insurance, to your provider so they can get those numbers in real time. And you may not know how to do that. We can. Because we're HIPAA compliant, we use third-party technology that we do not have access to the computer after it's said and done. It's terminated. Everything is completely locked and secure on that end user's device. We don't have access to anything until we're connecting to you and you're watching us do it with you. There's a safety protocol already in check, and at the heart of it, we are just trying to make people live healthier, smarter lives. Because this is something that we can do. It's not that it's impossible. And if nobody's going to do it, then who? That's us. It's about time we start taking care of our neighbors. And that's really what Tech Rescue was about.
Glad to hear it. I think that's a very noble cause. And with the data centers and the capabilities we are developing, especially with things like quantum computing, all things are possible in terms of monitoring health. You've built a company that operates around the clock. How do you personally balance high performance leadership with your adventurous lifestyle and mental fitness?
Well, the first thing is that we really focus on our customers. In our standard operating procedure, we have in big bold letters, every call is somebody's most important person. We take that to heart. You're trusting your family with mine. And I want all of my people to feel that. This is the success in leadership. I call it the 3 pillars. If you hire people that are good at what they do, love what they do, and believe in what you do, one of the hardest things and now one of the most rewarding things as me as a leader is that I've delegated the work that people like doing and are good at doing, so it gives me time to get back to the things that are important to me, my family, my interests, my goals. As a leader, I cannot be effective if I myself, as a person, am not okay. Because then I'm not making smart decisions. I'm being emotional.
Yeah.
So I love exploring. I love going to different parts of the world, trying different food. I've had scorpion. I've had whale blubber. It needs hot sauce. I highly recommend bringing hot sauce with you.
Let me ask you this question as we're getting close to the end. You're passionate about consumer markets and economic trends. What shifts in consumer behavior do you think most tech founders are underestimating right now?
I think a lot of tech founders are cannibalizing themselves. Let's take Apple, for example. Apple is releasing the iPhone 17. My question would be why. Now, you're thinking as a tech engineer. Think of it like the American consumer. Somebody just spent $1,500 plus a 2-year plan at AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, and now you're releasing the phone 17. At 17, I don't think you have the cult following that used to wrap around the New York City Apple Store 15 blocks deep for the iPhone 5 and 6 and 10. It's not there. This idea that we're going to glaze over the American consumer is no longer working. Why do you think our business is working? Technically speaking, we should not exist as a business, right? We are a support hotline. Technically speaking, you should be able to call those companies and have them explain their product to you as the consumer. If you've looked online, companies have erased their phone numbers, erased their help support hotline numbers, have erased their email addresses to get support, help at whatever. They don't want you calling them. They don't want to deal with the consumer. Buy our product, shut up. Why do you think we have iPhone 17 and they're already planning on rolling out the 18 next year? Tech companies are getting wrong that the American consumer is still stupid. We've been sluggish for a couple of years now, but I would say the American consumer and the consumer worldwide is starting to wake up and take a look at sales. Sales numbers are dropping, plummeting everywhere. There's no creativity.
Yeah, it's interesting. I will have to say in defense of Apple that I have used their tech support several times, and it's been great. They instantaneously call me. We get on the phone. I solve a particular issue. At least for my uses, solving a technical issue with the operating system or one of the apps, they've been great to me, and I like what they do a lot. I would say, however, other tech companies, you're lost in the wilderness in terms of getting any kind of help immediately. A lot of times it's email us at support@whatever.com. And you may get support 4 to 6 hours. I was using a software program. It's an excellent software program. They used to have, this is the way what tech support ran. You call a number, and it was answered by a live person. She would say, okay, I'll have one of our guys call you. About an hour later, you'd get a call. And they would stay on the line with you until you were happy. That has been pushed to AI. You have to get through AI to get to a live person.
Here's another study from Business Wire in 2024. Companies have used AI to shield. The average consumer will spend 27 minutes on the phone on wait if they have an issue. Like the house is on fire, proverbially. They'll wait about 27 minutes. AI bots usually get disconnected when you go to a website and you're asking for help. The average consumer stays on a chatbot for about 47 minutes, and then the chatbot will automatically disconnect because you haven't engaged with it. So by doing so, you've shielded the company from the customer for about an hour. You'll lose them completely because then they have to restart. So you've already blocked them off for an hour and a half. And usually they'll give you options and links and libraries to go through, but they'll never give you to somebody that you really need. Why? Because that's a cost to them that they're not going to incur unless they have to. So that's why our business is thriving and we're growing, because at the end of the day, what we have come to realize is people want to connect. And they use technology as a way to connect. You want to hear on the other end of the phone, I need help. There's a problem, whether it's my car, whether it's my bank, whether it's something. I need help. I want to speak to somebody. I don't want a robot. I don't want a maze. I don't want to chat. I want to speak to somebody. We've come to learn this in the past 2 months is that what we do is not only beneficial in terms of, our business aspect, our technology and helping people, is that we're letting know that somebody cares. At the end of the day, that's really all it comes down to, is that somebody cares about your problem. That's where we've been successful.
Yeah, it'll always be the person is at the hub of the wheel, so to speak. It's really the baseline. So it sounds to me like if trends continue, then Tech Rescue will be an incredibly prosperous and successful company from here on out.
It will be, because businesses try to see, the problem is innovation is scary and it costs money. Trying something costs money, and they're not really in the business of spending money anymore. They want money, but they don't want to spend money. So going back may be innovative, which makes no sense to me, but okay. But I think what we'll have economically is a better economy, because companies cannot learn what they're doing wrong when people don't have a way to express themselves. And yes, there may be some hot calls, but you know what? If you're getting 100 hot calls about a particular subject, maybe you should look into the subject. At the end of the day, the customer's right, aren't they?
More times than not, that's for sure. Anyway, Andrew, this has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate your time here today on the podcast.
Thank you.
I want to wish you and Tech Rescue the greatest success in the future. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
And see where it takes you. I'm sure it's going to take you to great things. But again, thanks so much for your time here today.
Thank you for having me.